This is a Pele Media podcast.
Welcome back to Goonies Minute, everybody. Goonies Minute is the fan podcast where we carefully explore the movie Goonies minute by minute. I'm Brady.
And this is Chris.
And today we are covering minute number 57. Chris, how you doing?
Doing outstanding. Today is the day after Mardi Gras.
That's true. I'm missing it. I'm missing it already.
I'm not missing it.
You're not missing it?
I've done it. I mean, I don't really care. I'm indifferent. I like it, but I don't. I mean, it is what it is.
So you normally do like the Baton Rouge ceremonies, the Baton Rouge parades and stuff. Do you ever go to New Orleans? Have you ever been?
Oh, I've been plenty of times to New Orleans. I've gone 3 and 4 nights at a time. I've injured myself mentally, physically, emotionally.
Your liver is gone, basically.
I've ripped ligaments in my ankle before.
Yeah. It's all about those beads. You got to get those beads.
I don't care about the beads. I just want to have a good time. Some of those crews in New Orleans, people spend $2,000-$3,000 on beads. That is insane.
Yeah, and those floats. I mean, floats costing, $250,000 in some cases.
It's insane.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know what else is fun?
Getting into the minute. In the previous minute, Mikey accidentally triggered a tripwire that released boulders overhead. Each of the Goonies barely made it to safety. At 57 minutes, Mikey notices that they have left a lantern. He jumps out of the opening and grabs it, narrowly being hit by the final boulder. The Goonies each take a quick breather before Brand hears something. He moves a rock away from the wall, exposing a small opening, and leans in and shouts hello. Suddenly a swarm of bats fly out of the opening, surrounding the Goonies. They each try and swat the bats away, but are completely engulfed. And thus ends minute 57 of the Goonies.
One thing I wanted to mention before we got into the bats, because I know you're about to talk about the bats, is that Mikey goes back for that lantern. And I try to look at that as a few different ways of, is that significant or is it not significant? It's that, to me, it is significant in the sense that even though their life is in jeopardy, he knows that they might need that lantern to finish this task and to get to this treasure. So he's willing to, even though he's safe right now, he's willing to risk his life again just to grab that lantern, because that might be the piece of the puzzle they need to get where they need to go.
It's that's a good point. Mikey puts safety aside for the sake of making sure they have all the utilities they need to finish his quest. So
right. So
he's willing to even die.
That just was something I wanted to mention before we got any further on, because I did think it was somewhat significant. So
yeah, definitely. So we've also got something going on here that's kind of a movie trope, but I've let it slide because this is an adventure film. There's always a moment where somebody's looking down a long corridor, they hear a little something in the distance, and then just bats, millions of bats just come flying out at them. But it's actually kind of cool because, for the effect of the bats, they used crumpled up black crepe paper that they shot with an air cannon through that hole. And am I mistaken in you having said one time that it was they used bow ties?
No, they I saw they had it was a combination. Mm-hmm. It was the wads of the black paper mache blown out of the cannons and bow ties.
Yeah.
So it was both.
What an interesting mix. Yeah.
It is interesting they use the bow ties and the wads of black paper. But there's something else that I saw on the internet. That someone says there's an instance where the paper bats were on wires, and they put this picture on the internet, and I really can't see the wire, but this is what I think. They had to use both techniques, because the shots that they have where the bat is actually in someone's face and hovering, obviously that's not something that's shot out of a cannon. So I think they did both. You had the mass coming out with the air guns, and then you had those instances where if it was an individual shot, you had that. So,
and you can tell later too when the Fratellis are hit by the bats, Jake is doing the cross with his fingers. And you might be able to see something in there.
I never really noticed that, and even in the picture where they did a still shot, it wasn't like, I think that you might be able to when the Fratellis are down there, but you certainly couldn't in this picture that they showed here.
Yeah.
I have a quick question, though.
What up?
I don't think there's any way that you think One-Eyed Willie put those.
The bats?
I think that's just something natural.
That'd be too much because he would have to put
they
them
don't
there.
go that way, don't they? don't they go somewhere? I can't even remember what happens next.
I mean,
I can't even remember yet.
No, I mean, because One-Eyed Willie would have to put the bats there and say, like, okay, be fruitful and multiply. And,
I think that's just
stay alive.
As a result of being in a cave.
Yeah, it's just a cave. So we also have a very Goonies moment here, and it's when they move from one Goonie to the other who are saying a new line, like, maybe it's a way out, maybe it's One-Eyed Willie,
It's pretty cool. They've done it a few times.
It's very Goonies-esque.
Yeah, it's very Goonies-esque. Goonie-esque?
Goonie-esque. We'll go with that.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, we have a close friend who has a bat infestation in his attic and in a tree right outside of his house.
Really?
Yeah, and
I've seen those bats outside. I didn't know they'd come inside.
Oh, man, he's found one in his house one time. We were on his back porch right after the poor guy had it renovated. And, I mean, he dumped a lot of money into having a house renovated, and we're sitting there, and out of this little hole in the top corner comes this little motion of some kind, and then a bat just flies out. But I was getting in my car recently when I was over there, and, I mean, these 2 or 3 of them come swoop down right at your head. And they're laughing at me because I'm running around just screaming, fumbling for my car keys to get into the car.
I could see you being afraid of something like that.
Yeah, me too.
That's very realistic.
And ironically, his mom, she had palm trees around her swimming pools, and there were bats in there. And we'd go swimming at night, and all of a sudden bats would just swoop right down over your head. And the only way to get away
what is the deal with them in the hair? Is that a?
I think it's just your head, really.
A myth or just?
Is there something? I've never heard that.
Oh, well, I've heard it.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll go into this.
Well, if I've heard it,
professor...
it must be true. There's something about they like your hair or something.
Huh.
I don't know.
I mean, who couldn't like my hair?
Yeah.
Herbal essences,
I wonder if I'm just
bat friendly.
I don't think I'm coming up with that. I think I really saw that.
Really?
I've heard that.
Let's look into it.
Quote me on it, but
okay.
Quote me on it.
But quote me on it. If I'm right, quote me on it.
And did you know that? Have you ever seen people eating rats? Why can't I say bats? Have you ever seen
in Three Amigos
show where they eat a bat?
Like the real thing? Because I've seen it in movies.
Because
like
Andrew Zimmern actually in South America, in some of these countries, he actually has eaten bat before.
Yeah.
And he's a host of Bizarre
Oh, yeah,
Foods.
yeah. I love that show. I've seen, like, the bat wings. They're really crispy and everything, and it's like, it looks like it might be kind of tasty. And then
it doesn't.
It doesn't?
Look
okay,
tasty.
Well,
I pretty much eat anything, but I don't know if I'd eat that.
I've seen that guy eat a snake heart before. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? Anyway.
He had a lot of heart.
He had a lot of heart to eat that heart. Okay, let's get back into the minute, and I have absolutely nothing left for this minute. What about you?
I don't have anything else, and that's pretty much why we were talking about bat.
No, it's funny because this minute and I think the last minute, they don't really have a whole lot going on. There's a lot of action involved and everything, but there's really only so much you can report on. Now, tomorrow's minute, there's a lot of cool information I've got for you. Some stuff that I was not aware of, and part of it involves the Goonies being partially based on a true story. So, listeners will definitely want to tune back in for that one.
I don't want to tune in for that.
You don't want to tune in for that?
I do want to tune in. No, I
you said you
want
do
to
want
tune in
to.
for
Okay.
that.
Oh, man. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. And until tomorrow, this is Brady.
And this is Chris.
And we're here to remind you that Goonies never say die. Goonies Minute is a fan-supported podcast. If you like the show, then leave us a review on iTunes. You can find us at GooniesMinute.com, Facebook.com/GooniesMinute, Twitter.com/GooniesMinute, and at Instagram @GooniesMinute. You can contact us at GooniesMinute@gmail.com. You've been listening to a Pele Media podcast. For premium content and exclusive podcasts, visit us at Patreon.com/Pele Media. Check us out on Facebook at Facebook.com/Pele Media, and follow us on Twitter at Twitter.com/Pele Media.